Now for the money shot. Oh, that looks so good. That's so clean. I know that's not particularly exciting, but it does freshen it up. I like it. All right, now we're in place. We're looking good. What's up, guys? My name is Andy. For me, this is gonna be one of those fun videos of updating a couple parts on my truck that kind of enhance the look. And what I'm talking about is I'm gonna be installing some new hood emblems. There's a light cover inside the cab that I wanna replace. And then I also wanna replace and update the taillight bezels and the taillight lenses on my truck. And the reason why I like doing this kind of stuff is I like the way the truck looks. Now, it's a little dirty underneath the hood here and I'm gonna be working on that. But on the outside, that patina, that kind of rusted, worn look, I just like that for this truck. I want it to be the truck that it is right now. Unlike my Mustang, where I got that thing painted not too long ago and everything's fresh on that, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I like that particular style for that car, but for this truck, I want to keep things aged, except for a handful of things that I want to be freshened up, like these emblems and taillights and stuff like that. Some of the stuff, particularly safety stuff like the taillights, I want those to be, working. I want them to be well lit and for safety reasons. But the truck, I want it to look the way that it looks. So this video is, these particular parts are not hard to install. It's an easy swap out. But I like doing this stuff because it makes me feel good about my truck and it makes me feel good to have things kind of updated to something nice and new, but it still looks like the truck that I want. So let's jump right in. So what I've got here is just some new gaskets go underneath the emblems. And these are the emblems themselves. And I'm surprised at how pricey these things are. I thought they'd be a little cheaper, but they are a nice piece and they do look really good. Oh, watch out, there's the fasteners. Don't lose those. This looks really good. This is nice and fresh and clean, very shiny. Compared to the one that's on the truck now, this thing looks fantastic. So to get this guy out, there's just a couple of fasteners on the back side and you've got these two holes here to access them. And we're just gonna use a 7/16 deep socket, take the nuts off the back, and these things should pop right off. Now mine are a little rusty, so I hope that I don't break anything, ruin anything. And there we go, just take that nut right off. And the second one, this guy should come right. Oh, there's one more little rubber gasket thing I'm struggling with is, it looks like this guy right here, this little rubber boot thing or something that's on the backside of the nut, and it's stuck on here and it's keeping me from getting this out. There we go. This little guy right here. This, there's no reason to get rid of this. This is the original piece. I'm gonna keep it with the truck, but it's definitely tired and worn out and it's time for an upgrade. I mean, look at that. That is definitely where we need to be. That is so much nicer. Oh no, I'm missing a little bit of paint. Gosh darn it. Maybe I can touch that up. Oh well. This will be a much nicer upgrade. Now, to go with this, I've got these gaskets. Now, this is not on the truck already. I don't know if these are supposed to be there and the previous owner just took them off and never put them back on. I don't know what's going on, but I do like that this does create a nice gasket for this thing to ride up against. Now, if I had brand new paint on my truck, this would be a much nicer thing because then the back sharp edge of this wouldn't be digging into the paint. But I do like, it does clean it up a little bit and it does protect the paint. Now, my paint I don't need to worry about, but that's gonna look pretty good. And just a heads up too, when you take this off, this definitely needs to be cleaned up. I do have plans to kind of, what I did with the body of the truck, you can even kind of see if you look down at how kind of shiny and smooth it is. Now it's dirty, so you can hear the dirt, the grit. This is very smooth because I did polish the truck. I did a 1,000 grit, 2,000 grit sand job and polish it and stuff like that. I did a video on that a while back. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, so it wasn't really much of a how-to video, but I did take care of the paint as best I could. I did leave the hood alone though. I didn't touch the hood, partly because of the rust, and I'm gonna maybe do something like that Comet wash or something on here to protect the hood. I can take these back off when I go to do that, but what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna clean this real quick just to get it nice and prepare the surface for it, and then I'll put that new piece on with the gasket. Now you can see this is really rough. That's through the paint, and that's one of the downsides of that other emblem that we had on there, is that sharp edge kind of contacted the paint and kind of put us in a bad spot here, and there's not much I can do about that. This new gasket will help. I don't know what's going on here, what this white stuff is. There's a whole bunch of it on here. I don't know if they were just trying to treat some rust or something, but anyways, let's get this new piece put on here. So here's the included hardware, and you get these two nuts, and they're designed to drop on the floor. They're designed to cut into the metal posts on here. And you'll see there's no threads on here, and that's okay. That's not gonna hurt anything. These nuts will cut into there and do what we need to do. And then there's these little rubber foam gasket things that will go in the back, just like when I was struggling to get that off there. Make sure we wanna get that gasket put around the edge here. That looks good, everything's all lined up. Put it through like, oh, this is gonna look so good. So then on the back side, put that foam gasket thing on the back of the stud here, and then we're gonna put that nut on. And this is where, if I had thought this through, I could maybe tape this to the truck so I can have both hands to do this part. There we go, that's just enough to hold it in place. Same thing on this one. Make it easy to, there we go. You'll notice down inside there, we're crushing that little gasket that was in there, and that's gonna be good enough to hold this in place. Now for the money shot. Oh, that looks so good. That's so clean. This really freshens up the truck. One more thing I forgot to point out, these are directional. There is a left and right piece. I've got them on the right way, but see how this is kind of flared out here on the back? You'll kind of see that in the paint, and that'll kind of give you an away of which one goes where. They'll fit, but it won't look right. So just a heads up on that. I like that. I'm gonna get the other side done real quick. All right, and we got the other side done. This thing looks pretty dang slick. And just a heads up, if you try to rush things and don't take your time, you're gonna get the gasket behind this piece. You have to take it back off and redo it. Ask me how I know that. Anyways, all right, so this looks good. I think we're ready to move on to the next part. Now jumping into the cab, we've gotta get to this guy right here. See how that's broken? I broke that when I was doing the headliner, so I got a new piece for that, so let's get that swapped out real fast. All right, a couple of Phillips screws. Get these guys out of here. Now, I had a dead spider in there. We'll keep him in there. There's no reason to replace this unit itself, and the bulb is fine. It looks like it's fine. Let's just put the new one on there. And what I've got is, it's just a black piece to kind of go with the black headliner. I know the other one was chrome, but I'd rather just have this black one. It's gonna be fine. And I also got some new black hardware to go with it. I know that's not particularly exciting, but it does freshen it up. I like it. The third thing I wanted to do was replace these bezels and these lenses on the taillights. Mostly because like this side, it's got a big crack in it. You can catch your fingernail on it. And it just freshens up the aluminum trim a little bit. And then I've got some new gaskets and stuff in there. So let's get this taken apart and get those things swapped out. Now you don't have to put the tailgate down, but I'm just doing it just to put all this stuff on here. You can buy online, you can buy all the pieces that you need, you know, the lenses, the trim rings. Oh, a heads up on the trim rings. There's certain years, and I don't know if it's the body style of the truck or the year, there's a trim ring that's got an extra edge on this side and the same thing on the other side of the truck. So you have to know which one you have. I don't know if there's a name for this style of trim ring that doesn't have this extra edge that comes along here. So you've got this rounded on that side and this is straight. On the straight side, there's like a deeper part of the bezel or something like that that goes deeper in the truck. I don't know enough about that stuff, but just a heads up, guys. Take a look at the ones you have on your truck so you know which ones to get, and you'll see pictures online of what they are, so you get the right ones. So we got the two trim rings. We got the two. You got a right and a left lens. Then there's a gasket for them, which you'll see when we pull that off. And then I just got all new hardware and new bulbs for this stuff, just so that everything's nice and fresh and neat and clean. It's probably a little overkill. My bulbs work, but while I'm here, I might as well just replace everything. And this is just two Phillips screws that hold these in. Pretty simple removal. Now there's no reason to get rid of this stuff. I'm not going to reuse these, but there's nothing really wrong with them. They're just, just old, there's aged a little bit. Okay, so here's the lens. This has got several cracks on it and it's worn out. It's got some paint overspray on here and stuff. So I bet you could clean this up, but I still have cracks on it and I want to replace that stuff and freshen it up. Here's the gasket that I was talking about, and it is done. It is toast. So let's get all that cleaned off so we can get these new ones put on. I just need to get this old gasket off there, and I'm just gonna use a flathead screwdriver just to pick this stuff off. I'm not looking for show quality, but I would like to just get it cleaned off and get it out of there. And I want to get these bulbs out of here. Now they might be stuck in there pretty good. Careful you don't break the glass and cut your hand. And again, these bulbs, they don't look too bad. They're dusty because they've been sitting there forever, but I'm sure they're fine. But I've got new bulbs. Let's just go ahead and put new bulbs in here. Just a heads up, guys. These are 2 different bulbs. I really didn't do my homework on that. I thought they were the same. So I've got 4 of these guys. So I'll go ahead. That's the ones up top. The reverse light on the bottom. Again, it's not fine. It's fine. The filament's not broken. I'll just reuse this for now. I do need to get a new bulb in there. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just want to refresh everything. So just a heads up, guys. There are 2 different bulbs, and I wasn't paying attention to that. All right, then we've got the gasket. They appear to be the same gasket, just flip one from one way. We don't need to worry about that stuff. And the way this goes on there, it's gonna be pretty much like this. Really, you should take these screws out so that you can get them underneath this gasket. So let's do that real fast. Now I believe this gasket is supposed to fit behind the reverse light piece, but this is riveted on there, so I don't know how else we could do that. I'm just gonna leave it on the top because I don't know how to take that apart without changing everything up. So everything's fitting all right. It's not a perfect fit, but once we put the lens on there, it should sandwich everything in place. Now before we put this lens on there, I do need to get the right trim ring. Now, these parts, there is 2 different part numbers on here. So there is a right and left. I gotta figure out which one, and I should have been paying attention to that too. So, oh yeah, so there's a subtle shape up here and down here. That's why you need to pay attention to that. So this one doesn't line up. This one here lines up a lot better. So we'll say that this part number is for the driver's side because that fits that shape a lot better. Oh yeah, nice and clean, everything looks good. Yeah, it's gonna sit like that. So put this guy in here, nice and clean. Again, I got new hardware. Oh, I didn't even notice that. I just saw here on the bottom that there's hardware included with these trim rings. That's awesome. I guess I didn't need to buy those. Oh well, too late now. I'm also noticing that the hardware that I bought is actually too short, and even the stuff that came with it. So I'm gonna reuse the fastener that I took out of there. It's just a little bit longer because the way this bezel fits on here, it sits on top of the lens. The lens doesn't sit inside anything. So you need to get through the bezel, through the lens, and into the sheet metal screw. So yeah, there's plenty of threads there for that, but with the other fastener that I bought, it wouldn't be long enough. So, okay, heads up on that. There, nice and clean. Everything looks good. Oh yeah, that is much cleaner. I am noticing there's a little bit of a gap here, and I can't tell if that's because the gasket is so thick and so new. And this guy here, you know, takes up a lot of space, so I don't know if that's pushing this out. Yeah, if you look at the passenger side, see how close this is? So I wonder if that's just because the gasket is sticking out so much, and I can probably play with that a little bit and get it to line up better, but oh, that looks so much better. All right, we got the other one in. This is a much nicer setup. Again, that old lens was cracked and beat up and just tired. It's nice to get out of there. So one thing I did notice, be careful when you're putting the screws in. You don't want to scratch your new bezel with the screwdriver because you're not paying attention, so heads up on that. But also, I'm noticing that the new trim rings, like the old ones, they're trimmed a little bit better on this backside edge, so it fits flush against the lens. And these ones, they're just trimmed poorly, and they're just a cheap replacement piece. And so you could take them off and file down that edge a little bit just to clean it up and get it to sit a little more flush, and that'll help suck everything in. But if this just looked better, maybe you could clean these up, make them look new again. Maybe I should do that because, well, I do like the look of these clean taillight lenses. I don't like how they fit, but that's just because they're not OEM parts like these. So, all right. All right, now we're in place. We're looking good. Taillights are good. Oh, I forgot to point out the bulb that was in here, that thing was rusted in and just, I had to tear this thing apart just to pull, pull the glass off and a bunch of pliers to get this guy out of there. This thing was in there pretty good. So just a heads up, if you got old bulbs, it might be difficult to get that out. So we are looking, I think, a lot fresher, a lot better. These taillight housings do kind of jazz up the back of the truck. And again, I want to keep the truck looking, kind of the way it is, but freshen up the stuff that needs to be freshened up and then go from there. So I'm happy with it. I'm really happy. Cool, that was an easy video, guys. Just a couple of updates on the truck, keep things moving forward, and I'm happy. Awesome. All right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.